are switched off, on the right hand side of the screen you'll see this little chat box. So the chat is obviously as we've just been using it. If you've got any comments you want to share, then obviously just write that in the box there. The participants, if you want to message anybody directly, then just click on their name and send them a message. And then at the end of Lydia's session, which will be about 30 minutes, if you've got any questions to ask her, then just type them in into that box there, and then we'll go through them at the end. But I'm not going to waste any more time speaking. I'm going to hand directly over to Lydia. Lydia, I've known for a few years now. I met her at a yoga retreat in Ibiza. I think it was 2016, 2015. I can't even remember. But anyway, and Lydia actually was my life coach couple of times now, and she completely helped me with my life and goals, and so I totally recommend her, and I'm really looking forward to her speaking today and for you guys to get some helpful tips from her. So Lydia, over to you.
Oh, thank you so much. Yay, we made it. Oh, technical issues, they always pop up from time to time. I'm actually going to speak probably now for about 20 minutes. We've run over a little bit, but that's all good. We can still get some juicy stuff in. So, you know my name, Lydia. I'm also known as the Happiness Explorer, and that's really because it's what I do. I help you to explore and find more of what makes you happy. But I always say, just because I'm talking about happiness doesn't mean that there's just one path to happiness, nor am I, happy all of the time. I've done a lot of work on myself and I'm happy most of the time, but I don't know what's best for you. In fact, you're here with a wealth of experience, you're intuitive, and you really do know what's best for you. What I'm good at doing is bringing all that to the front so you can really act on it as well. But however you're showing up today, whether you are blissfully happy, if you're going through a period where you're waking up thinking, I just could be happier, or if you have experienced a long period of just not feeling happy at all, which you have, I'm really, really sorry that you're going through that. Allow what I share today to just meet you where you're at. There's no right or wrong. You don't have to agree with everything I say. See what lands for you. I like to start, first of all, in sharing a bit about what I've learned about happiness and what it means to us, because I'm a master life and business coach. I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I've had the privilege of listening to hundreds of people in thousands of hours of what makes us happy and what makes us unhappy. And I've learned some important things because happiness is important, right? When you're not happy, all you're wanting to do is to get back to being happy. It's the most important thing. So what I found was that when my clients were coming to me, and I've worked with all ages, from early 20s into 60s, male and female, and people will come with a goal. Of course, we always come with a goal. And whatever that goal was, whether it was to change career, whether it was to meet the love of their life, whether it was to earn more money or start a business, I am listening to what's really going on. So I'm trying to hear what's really going on here. And what I was hearing was, underneath it all, when you strip the goal back, we just want to be happy. If you've got a big goal in your life right now, if you want to work towards something, really, if you have an honest conversation with yourself, what's that all about? It's about more happiness. And then I would listen a little bit more, and actually what I started to hear was that it's not happiness that we are working towards. It's actually that we want to be content. And there is a difference in those. I started to feel that happiness was something more in the future, and the content was a feeling that was more in the present moment. But it didn't end there. What I really heard when people were coming to me with these big dreams and these goals was, you know what, Lydia? I just want to be at peace. I want to be at peace with myself, and I want to be at peace with the world around me. And we can't experience peace in the future or the past. We can only experience it right here in the present moment. And boy, do I know about that, because I used to be pretty unhappy. 10 years ago, I was so stuck at a crossroad, crying every single day and really begging for answers. Maybe you've asked yourself some of these questions as well. I was asking, what will make me truly happy? I just couldn't put my finger on it. And, who am I? Who even am I? What is this all about? Is this it? Is this it? Because up until that point, I had been living with a constant state of something feeling like it was missing. You ever felt like that? It's like, actually on paper, my life wasn't too bad. I had good friends, I had a job, I had money in my pocket, I was seemingly confident. And if we'd sat down for a cup of tea back then, I would have told you that my life was good. However, there was always a state of lack, like something's not quite right and I can't put my finger on what that is. So I just kept changing. I just kept changing my job, changing my location, changing my relationship, changing my hair. Whatever it was, I was saying, I'll be happy when I've lost a few more pounds. I'll be happy when I've got that job. I'll be happy when I've got that many followers, or I'm living in that country. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes those external changes really do add to our happiness, and they give us the permission to be happier. But if you keep placing your happiness on something in the future, then you're always going to be in a state of missing something because it's not here right now. And when I kind of hit that crossroad, it was just before I was turning 30, and I was like, this isn't about changing my job anymore. It really isn't. I'd worked in TV, I'd lived in Panama, I had a restaurant, I'd lived in Greece and been a cook, I'd been cabin crew for Virgin, I'd been a hip hop teacher, I'd done so many different things before I was 30. It really just brought me to my knees, begging for an answer. I say that, a crossroad, and if you're stuck at a crossroad right now, I'm excited for you. I am excited for you, because a crossroad is life's way of making you stop so that you can see what you've been missing. Life has probably been tapping you on the shoulder for some time, like, stop. That nagging feeling, something's not right, something's not right. But you're like, shut up. I just keep going. If I just stay in this job, if I just work harder, if I just stay in this relationship, give more, it will all work out. And I tell you, then I was stuck in a relationship where I was compromising, I was needy, I was desperate for love. I was in a job that was giving me panic attacks, paying me crap money. I mean, the money was okay, but I was still always broke. I never had enough money. I was always over drinking. I just wanted to be able to go for one drink, but I couldn't. I could never go for just one drink because I was the last person drinking or at the party. I hated my body. I hated myself. I was confident on the outside, but constantly putting myself down, worrying what other people thought about me, and just feeling like there was something more out there for me, but I couldn't put my finger on what that more was. Until I say it was the point before the year that changed my life. I was on my bedroom floor in child's pose, just like, folded on my knees, head into the ground, palms faced up, sobbing like an Italian widow at her husband's funeral. A real ugly cry, but it was from the pit of my stomach, just begging, what will make me truly happy? And in that moment, I had a realization. I was not taking responsibility for my own happiness. I wasn't. I kept outsourcing my happiness to something in the future. I was trapped in a happiness waiting game. That when I get there, then I'll be happy. When I get there, then I'll be happy. And you know what? Whenever I arrived at said thing, because I experienced a lot of success at an early age, it was just never enough. It was never enough. So I promised myself in that moment that I was going to take full responsibility, claim my happiness, and then really focus on and discover and understand what it means to be truly happy right now in the present moment. And I've been dedicated to that for the past 10 years, not just on my own path, but for all the people that I've worked with along the way. And when we come together like this, you become an honorary happiness explorer, because it's really about you and your journey and what you can explore and find that's going to add to your happiness. I've not yet met anybody who would say no to more happiness. If you want to welcome more happiness and hanging out with me, whether that's over on a social media platform or here, then that's the right place to be, because that's what I love to do. During the time that I've been helping people, not only did I learn that actually it's not about happiness, it's not about being content, it's about peace, I also learned that happiness is absolutely who you are. Being your happiest self is who you are. It's only something that you're doing that is robbing you of that. And this is where I say, too many of us, have unknowingly become our own happiness thief. We are thieving it from ourselves and then just giving it away to people, places and things, and leaving us with this sense of emptiness. And not just emptiness, but kind of like an out of controlness, a feeling of being trapped at times. Believe that no one should feel trapped in their life, no one on any level. But what is trapping us is that we just don't know how to escape ourselves. So my mission is to help you claim back the happiness that is rightfully yours. It is your right to be happy. It really is. It's your right to be happy, but peace is who you are. Peace is who you are when you come back to your natural state. I like to prove that. You don't just have to take my word for it, experience it for yourself. A quick way of doing that is, for a moment, can you think back to the last time that you were sick? Can you think back to the last time that you were really not very well, whether it was a cold or maybe something more serious, but then you returned to health? That first day you come back to health. Can you remember what you said? Because we all tend to say the same thing. And if you can't think of a time when you were sick, think of a time when you were hungover. Maybe it was this weekend. Maybe you're only just sort of getting over your hangover today. But again, what do you say when you return back to that state of wellness after being hungover? And I know this is mostly for people in the events industry, whilst actually I imagine a lot of you have been on a long break, but I'm sure you can think of a time where you've been so busy, so overwhelmed, so stressed working, and then it's ended, and then you come back to just feeling calm and grounded again. What do you say? What I see, and I did this myself, and I was like, oh my God, this is so true, is that when we come back to our most well state, we say, I feel like myself again. I feel like myself again. because feeling well and happy is your true state. That is who you are. It is only what you're doing that is stopping you from being your true self. There's another thing that I learned during the 10 years that I've been working with people, and again, it kind of just really helps anchor this point, so that, because I really want for you to know this within yourself. It's like a remembering. Deep down, you know that your true self is being really, really happy. And my job is to help connect you back to that, to crack you open and bring that back to the surface. It's like we create this kind of prison of oneself, and I want to give you the key to unlock it. When you think, when we won't be able to remember, but when you're a toddler, I've got a 2-year-old, 2.5-year-old, and he's just pure joy. I mean, he's annoying, but he's pure joy. Nothing has got in the way of that for him. I know it will eventually, but he's just experiencing his true essence, his true self, and it's so beautiful to see. Maybe if you've got some kids in your life, you will know that too. It's not really until we sort of hit 6 and 7 where we begin to form our identity, and this is where we begin to form happiness blocks. And all the time that I've been coaching, I began to see a pattern that there are 6 key happiness blocks that rob us of the happiness that's rightfully ours, that rob you of being your happiest self. And we're not born with them, okay? So we create them. And that's why I say that you're the one that is robbing yourself of pure joy, emotional freedom. It all comes down to fear. It all comes down to fear. I'm going to tell you what those are before we finish up, but just as another point is that as I was working with people, most of the time when we feel stuck or when we feel trapped, we pin it to our career or sometimes also to our relationship, but mostly to our career. And I believe the reason for that is because we spend on average 90,000 hours in a lifetime working. So yeah, I hope that you guys are doing something you love, and if not, please reconsider. We spend a lot of time at work, so when we begin to feel stuck, we think it's our job. Now, it's not that that's not relevant, but what I found was everyone who was coming to me to change their career, was that as soon as I gave them the tools to reconnect to their true self, which is happy, actually, the job that they were in wasn't such a pain. It wasn't such a burden to carry, because actually when we are our happiest selves, life elevates itself anyway. It's not so much that life needs to change, it's who you're being in life that needs to change. So we actually define ourselves too much by what we do, and we think that happiness comes from that. And what I learned was that, think about when you're at school. What were you told at school? Constantly, you're asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? What do you want to do? So we are subliminally, it's a big word today, subliminally, got it out. We are taught that if you focus on doing something, then you'll be happy. Just get to college, just get that career, just get that house, and then you'll be happy. And that's why we go through such a big shift in our 30s, because it's suddenly like, oh my god, I've done those things, or I haven't done those things, and I'm not happy. We never asked, who do you want to be? If you asked, if I asked my little boy, how do you want to feel when you're older? Like, who do you want to be? He'd say happy, 1,000% say happy. We're not taught how to be our true and most happy selves. So we're taught, to be human doings, not human beings, and through what we do, we then create these happiness blocks, and they're all driven by fear. So there's 6 happiness blocks, and see if any of these, speak to you. The first one is the fear of the unknown, and that would have been showing up a lot for people as we've been going through lockdown and COVID and how it's just come out of nowhere. Then we got the fear of not being good enough. Pretty much any reason why you are not moving forward in your life, if you are not taking the steps to where you want to be, it's because of not being good, the fear of not being good enough. The fear of being wrong is number 3. The fear of not being liked. Wow, that was, a huge one for me. That's where that will show up and mean that you overgive, you become a pleaser, you don't have any boundaries, you're constantly doing for others and not for yourself. The fear of failure, that stops us from going for that new job or starting that new business or leaving a relationship. And then finally, the fear of change. It's amazing how much the fear of change will show up for people because we think change is a risk and it's really, really not. So all of these fears I've found are what become our happiness blocks and are what begin to turn you into a happiness thief. But I want to give you the key to set yourself free so that you can step out of that. And really just the first step is awareness. Okay? It's being aware of when you in your life feel like I'm not going in the direction I want to go in. Why is that? I'm not being who I want to be. Why is that? Far too many of us say we're happy when we're not. Maybe we're happy-ish, or we're inspired-ish, or we're fulfilled-ish. But I always say that there is something fishy about fishy. It's just not enough. We're not here to experience fishy. You can experience it all, really live your life filled with joy, fulfillment, motivation, inspiration, all of the things that make you want to jump out of bed. So many people are stuck in negative behavior patterns, and maybe you can relate to some of these. It would be staying in a job that you just really don't like, and every day you wake up and all you're doing is saying, oh God, I don't want to do this, I don't want to go here, I don't want to go to work, I hate my job, but you stay in the job and you don't leave. Or it's staying in a relationship, where you are overgiving, you're pleasing, or you're needy, or you're not acknowledged, and just thinking that there's nothing else for you, or being in a body that you constantly criticize and you're constantly speaking to yourself negatively. And sometimes they can be sort of smaller but not smaller, but things that you think, oh well, everyone else is like this, or I can't seem to stop, so I just keep going. It's like getting home after work, opening a bottle of wine, saying you're going to have one glass and having a whole bottle. Then the next day, you spend the whole day with salty sugar cravings, you don't go to spin, you then eat crap food and you hate on yourself more. These behaviors, being, wanting to set up a business, but actually spending each night just bumming out in front of Netflix and then beating yourself up for being lazy or a procrastinator. Shopping on your credit card when actually you can't afford it, but you feel like you need to give yourself something special because actually you've been feeling so rubbish. It's the ways in which we keep dishonoring ourselves and we keep ourselves small because it's easier to tell yourself that that's okay because you just don't know how. You don't know how to change. As I said, I was stuck in all of those behaviors and more. Now I don't drink, I don't eat sugar, I have a 6-figure business that is my absolute passion and purpose. I live in Ibiza, I've got a lovely little boy. I mean, life is exactly what I wanted it to be back then, but I didn't know how to step into it. And just to bring this to a close, because I'm not sharing how my life is to say that my life is better or that, look at me. It might not be your idea of happiness, right? It's my idea. But it's not what your life looks like that makes it amazing. It's how you look at life that does. And your perspective changes when you change, when you become happier and when you begin to work through, break through, and overcome those fears. So I'm just over at past, and I'd love to hear from you. Anyone? Any questions? Oh, we can't hear you. I think you're on mute.
There you go. Hello. Thank you, Lydia. That's amazing. Thank you so much for sharing that with us. Obviously I get everything that you're saying, and like you say, it's not about, obviously we can share our own stories, but it's just about inspiring other people. And I think, certainly during this time, we've all had time, certainly in our industry, to reflect on where our life goes now, and are we really happy, and what we're doing, exactly that, are we really happy? And I think one thing that I've always learned, and I got this from you, is that life is full of stepping stones. It's one stepping stone to the next to reach the goal. And I don't think you don't ever reach the top. You just keep going, because you're always bettering yourself. So I think that that's definitely one thing that we should all take away and learn. But always we're going to have down days as well as good days. That's just life. So does anyone have any questions at all for Lydia? Don't think so at the moment. Lydia, if you could just explain, obviously, if anybody wants to get in contact with you with regards to any coaching, what's the best and easiest way that they can contact you?
So you can follow me on Instagram at Lydia Kimmerling. I'm mostly hanging out over there. There's loads of great, videos and bits and pieces to keep you inspired and motivated. Or send me an email, lydia@thehappinessexplorer.com.
Very easy to remember. Lydia at happinessexplorer.com.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Lydia. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to speak with us. And hopefully everyone will have got something amazing out of that session. And hopefully we'll see you again soon at future events.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks,
for now,
Lydia.
guys. Bye.
Bye.